everyone, I'm Jen. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today we are talking all about the books that I've read so far in June, or my mid-month wrap-up. I have to say that I don't know if it is my attempt at doing a TBR for myself, or if I'm just out of whatever funk I was in last month. I don't think that I was in a slump, because I definitely wanted to read. I just wasn't reading as much, but that's kind of over. I have more books to talk about today than I had all of last month. So I'm going to try not to ramble too much and get through these a little bit quickly, but like, if you know me, you know I ramble. So we'll see how that goes, but whatever that was last month is completely gone. I am going to talk it up a little bit to that TBR. It's only been the first month that I've implemented a little bit of a TBR, but I just, for whatever reason, I get really overwhelmed with all the books that I want to read. And so just having a list there to help me whenever I finish a book and wondering like what I need to read next has definitely helped. Also, to be able to just check off books that have been there for a while is just really pleasing. It's really pleasing. So I'm going to stop rambling now so I can hopefully not ramble so much about these books. Let's get into this. Okay, so right off the bat, I started off June real good. I knew that I wanted to get the remaining books that I had for the Salacious Players Club by Sara Cate completed, because book 1 in her new series is coming out next month in July, and I wanted to be ready for that. So right off the gate, I knew that I was going to read Mercy and then Highest Bidder, which are the 4th and 5th books in the series, and I just love this world. I love everything that it entails. So first, let's talk about Mercy. This is Bo and Maggie's story. Maggie is the 4th owner of the Salacious Players Club, and she's always been a little bit like aloof in the other books and very intriguing to me. Definitely wanted to know more about her. Really excited to get into her book. And then Bo, who we all know from the first book, is Charlie, or Charlotte's ex-boyfriend. We know that she gets with Emerson, his dad, and quite frankly, Bo he's a dick. Like, he's a little bit of an asshole, so this book gives him a chance to kind of redeem himself. That being said, I do need to mention that throughout this month so far, there has been one theme that just keeps showing itself in the books that I've read. I didn't mean to do that, but it's there. There is a bit of a redemption arc in many of the books that I've read, and I have to say, I'm really loving it, and it is a trope that definitely piques my interest. But let's get back to Maggie and Bo. Maggie takes the Salacious Players quiz that they have for your like kink quiz, and Bo does it on kind of like I don't want to say a joke, but kind of like a dig at his father of, he doesn't believe in this shit anyway, so like, what is it really going to tell me? Well, the two get paired. Maggie is seen as a female dom, a mistress, a brat tamer, and Bo's results show him as a submissive and a brat. Now, brat meaning I like to test the boundaries. I might not always abide by what my master tells me to do, because I kind of like the punishment. But they match up and they start texting each other a little bit innocently and decide, let's meet. I think Bo is a little bit more intrigued than he's wanting to let on, and then they decide to meet up. Now at this point they know each other, but they just don't know who they've actually paired up with until they meet. This is a dual POV. It is an age gap. I believe Maggie's I think 12 years older than Bo, but oh my god, the chemistry with these two. I absolutely freaking loved this book. I loved their story. I loved how they each grow. Bo has a lot of repressed anger and just things that he did not deal with, and he's able to deal with them with Maggie through their kinks, and I love them. I really did. I absolutely love them. It was a phenomenal book. I can't say enough good things about this one. I obviously gave it a 5 stars. I gave it 4 stars for spice, and then I immediately went into Highest Bidder, which is the 5th book, and this is Ronan and Daisy's story. Ronan is not an owner of Salacious Players Club, but he was an investor when they first started, so he has a little bit of stake in it. He is in that world anyway. Him and Emerson knew each other previously, so this is his story. We've seen him in all the books, just like we've seen Eden. Cannot wait for her story, by the way. But we've seen him. He's always been a little intriguing to me as well because, I mean, he's just this older silver fox man. But, like, okay, there's just something about this one. I love the fact that Sarah Kate brings in all these different kings. Like, you've got Emerson, who's your, like, consenting dom, and then you have Maggie, who's, like, your femme fatale dom and likes to do a little bit of punishing, and oh my, that's great. But then we have Ronan, and yes, he's a dom too, but he's a pleasure dom. Stop. Stop. See, this is why I love this world. I just love it. Age gap, of course. I think that this is one of the biggest age gaps I've read, if not the biggest age gap. It is a 35-year age gap, but let me tell you something. It didn't read that way. Like, I mean, you know that there is this age difference between them, but the connection that they have, it doesn't really read like that on paper. Of course, there is talk of this huge age gap, but their connection is so strong that it kind of, it's like, who cares? Who cares? But Daisy, this is the first time that we're meeting her. Her mom died about 3 years ago, and when she died, she found out that she's got a great amount of money. I think it's like $1 million or something like that in a bank account. She is the beneficiary, but Ronan's name is on it, and she's like, who the fuck is this guy? I don't know who this is. Like, he's not my dad. I don't know who he is, but like, who is he in relation to my mom? And why do I have all this money and I'm not touching this money until I figure out like who this guy is? So she kind of does a little bit of cyber stalking, figures out that he is a part of the Salacious Players Club, and then kind of weasels her way into getting a job there so that she can kind of watch him and kind of get a read on who he is. Very innocently. It's not like she's really stalking him. It's just, I need to know who this guy is. Like, he clearly had a relationship with my mom, but like, what kind? What's going on? And he obviously notices her, but he really takes an interest in her when he finds out that she is sleeping in her car, and he is just basically like this silver fox who's got a heart of gold, and he's like, no, I can't have that. You can't be in any time. You can't be living in your car, and you just can't. So he brings her to his house, and their relationship progresses. Their relationship happens pretty fast, but it flows, and it's good, and I liked it, and it was very good. I ended up giving this one a 4.5, and I gave it a 4 stars for spice as well. Rolling off of the Salacious Players Club, I picked up another book that I believe came out earlier this year, and it is Turn Me On by Lauren Blakely. This is another dual POV. It is an MM sports romance. It's a forbidden love. It's a workplace romance. This follows Zane and Maddox. Zane is this cocky pro baseball player, and Maddox is a sports agent slash lawyer who has recently moved sports agencies and is now part of the team that represents Zane, and is specifically tasked with getting him a big sponsorship. So now, remember when I said Zane is this cocky pro baseball player? He is on his way to a restaurant to meet his current agent and his new agent, and sees this guy at a bar and goes up and starts talking to him, flirting with him, and there is this instant connection with these two. And come to find out, it is Maddox, who is his new sports agent, who didn't divulge the fact that, yes, he knew who Zane was, but he was enjoying this flirting as well, and maybe he took it too far, like he shouldn't have let that happen, but the connection was just too great to let that pass. So they have a little bit of tension when they figure out who each other is, but they still have to work together, so they kind of try to squash that. But they are obviously in communication with each other because they have to work with each other, and these forbidden feelings start surfacing, and they both try to fight it. The connection is inexplicable. These spicy scenes are just, they were really good. I really love these two. They are so sweet with each other, but then very sexual. The dirty talk is there. I was here for it. I really did like this one. I ended up giving this one a 4 stars and a 3 stars for spice. Next on my list was Fallen Foe by L.J. Shen. This is another dual POV. It's an enemies to lovers in a billionaire romance. It follows Arsene and Winnie. First off, I need to say that I forgot how much I enjoy L.J. Shen's writing. I haven't read anything by her in a few years. That being said, this was not my favorite. Even though I did enjoy this, it kept me turning pages and I wanted to see what was going to happen. I kept waiting for something more. There was that like itch of there has to be something more. Also, even though you see the connection between Arsene and Winnie, And you actually really do see that there is a connection between them. I never really felt it. You know, sometimes like you can feel that angst and you can feel that just whatever it is just building up. You want more of it. You feel how they feel. You it's not just told to you on page, like you feel it. I didn't get that here. But there was like a lot of moving parts, and it really, I mean, it was interesting, but at some point it kind of fell off a little bit for me. But anyway, all this being said, there was a lot of moving parts. It was a good story. I just didn't feel as invested as I would have liked. But Arsene is like obsessed with his stepsister. He has been for a very, very long time. And it's more of an obsession of like, not that I love you, even though he thinks that the obsession does mean love. It's more of an obsession for power over her because of some things that happened in their past. They are always trying to one up each other. It's more of like a game of who can overpower the other. And his like brain works in a way of, once I get her to submit completely to me and become my wife, and just I will have all this. I will have won. And but they are on some, I think it's like a work retreat or something like that for Graceland, his stepsister, and he sees this woman below his balcony, and he's drawn to her. Like there's just something about her that intrigues him. They meet whenever they go to this company soiree, and she is from Tennessee, so she's a little southern, and she has that southern draw, that southern hospitality, which is very unlike Arsene and his stepsister and the world that they grew up in, being billionaires. She doesn't take a shit. She is blow for blow with him, and he likes that. Like, I'm gonna be pissed off that you're like that, but I really do like that. And then a huge tragedy happens, and Arsene's stepsister, now fiance, and Winnie's husband are in a plane crash and die. And these two come together to figure out why they were together and what happened, and if there's something more to the story. And they're at each other's throats. The banter was really good between them. I did enjoy that. But again, like I said, I was just waiting for something more, and I was waiting to feel that connection between them that I didn't. That being said, I did enjoy this book. It did keep me turning pages. It just wasn't my favorite. I ended up giving this one a 3.5 stars, and I gave it a 2 stars for spice. The next book I read was Liars Like Us by J.T. Geissinger. This is the buddy read for this month with Amber, Mandy, and Jessica. I will leave our live show linked down below for you if you're interested in that. So I'm not going to go too much into my thoughts on this because we dive into that on the live show. However, this is another billionaire romance. It is a marriage of convenience. It follows Callum and Emery, and it is told in the point of view of Emery. Emery owns a really quaint bookshop. It reminded me a lot of You've Got Mail with Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks, where she had this really cute bookstore, and then like this big conglomerate bookstore, like a Barnes and Nobles or something, opens up across the street. It was very similar to that, where she's already kind of in the hole with her business, not really making ends meet as well as she can, but this business has been in her family for years. It is a part of her, so she's, trying her best. When this huge bookstore opens up across the street, and it kind of snowballs from there, and all these problems keep arising, and she is pretty much at her wit's end and thinks, like, I have to close the store down and I have to file for bankruptcy, and like, what am I going to do with my life? And very strangely and out of the blue, this man walks into her bookstore and says, hey, I saw you at a restaurant last night telling your employees that you're going to have to let them go and you're going to have to close the store, and I need to marry so that I can keep the billions of dollars that I have for my inheritance, and I think that we could help each other out. You marry me so that I can keep my inheritance, and I'll marry you and all your problems will go away. And she's like, you're funny. Get out of my store, you crazy loon. And just really doesn't believe him, thinks that this is like a complete farce. But he continues to hound her and try to explain to her, like, this is not, I'm not joking. I really want to do this. And here's a contract. And if you do this, then I will give you, what I think it's like $10 million or something like that. Like, you could do whatever you want with it. And she's like, this is just too good to be true. Like, what the hell is going on? But eventually she does agree to sign the contract and marry him, and they do get married, and things happen from there. That's all I'm going to say. If you're interested in what we thought about it and know a little bit more, you can definitely go check out the live, but that's all I'm going to tell you about this. This was my first J.T. Geissinger book, and I enjoyed it. Although it was a little predictable, I had figured out some key points very early on, but it was interesting and I was intrigued. And I will tell you one thing, Callum McGuire has a very dirty mouth. I was definitely here for it. The spicy scenes were very good. I definitely would have liked more. I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed this one. I gave it a 4 stars and I gave it a 3 stars for spice. Next, I read a book that has been on my TBR and my shelves for years, like a decade almost. But it was recently made into a movie, and I wanted to watch the movie, but I didn't want to do so until I read the book, and that is Beautiful Disaster by Jamie McGuire. This is a college romance. It is a forced proximity, um, kind of like an enemies to lovers, but not really. This is about Travis and Abby. It is all told in the POV of Abby. Travis is this hotshot ladies man who just all the girls want around college, all the girls except for Abby. He does this fighting underground thing that's kind of like a fight club, talk about fight club, that's put on by somebody else in the college. And Abby and her best friend America come to this college. They've decided to go to college together, but Abby more so just wants to get away from where they used to live and away from her past and kind of reinvent herself and be her own person again. We don't know what that is, but we just get the vibe of, I don't want to be known as whoever I was. Whatever that may be. So America and her boyfriend take Abby to one of these fights where she meets Travis, and yeah, she's drawn to him, but she is like, I don't want to contend with your ego, and just no, no. But Travis is like, wait a minute, like I've never had a girl that doesn't throw herself at me. What is going on? But they end up becoming really good friends. There is this whole bet that they do where if she wins, he will go without sex for a certain amount of time, and if he wins, she has to move in with him for a month. And he wins, she has to move in with him, and she doesn't back down on her bets. So they end up living together for a month, and they become really good friends. But there is that attraction there between them. You do feel that attraction between them. But I am going to tell you, their relationship is toxic AF. Very toxic. They are back and forth all the time, which at times kind of got a little bit annoying because it's like, oh my God, you guys, like, get your shit together. But neither one of them wants to give in. They both want to be the dominant one, and they just don't want to give into their feelings, but then they give into their feelings, and it's so good. There is a lot that happens in this book. I definitely see why it was so popular when I bought the book and why it was made into a movie. That being said, I did watch the movie. I think I watched it like 2 nights ago, and I'm going to say that if I would not have read the book and just watched the movie, I may have liked it a little bit more, but it is vastly different. This book is dense. There is a lot that happens in this book. And I was wondering as I was reading it, like, how are they going to get all of this on film? So I see why they had to cut a lot of things out. But they rearranged a lot of things in the book. It is what it is, but I do remember watching the movie. I'm like, that didn't happen. That's not how that went. What is going on here? But I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed them both. The movie was really cute. The book, obviously, it's so much better. There's a lot. If you see more of their relationship, obviously you could do that through a book. I did end up giving this one a 4 stars, and I gave it a 1 stars for spice. Next, I read Twisted Vines by January James. This is the second book in her Thorns trilogy. I read the first book, Jagged Thorns, earlier this year when it came out. But Twisted Vines, I actually read this as an arc. It doesn't come out until June 29th. This is a dual POV between Vivian and Rupert. It is a forbidden love, family secret. There's a forced arranged marriage. I can't really say too much about this because it really picks up right where the first one left off. And if you've watched that review or you've read Jagged Thorns, then you know that it left off on a huge cliffhanger. And spoiler alert, this one leaves off on a huge cliffhanger as well. So be ready for that. But it does pick up right there. So I can't really say too much. But essentially, from the first book, Vivian comes to work on this island that is off the coast of, I think it's like Scotland or something like that. And it is very well known around the world. It is this huge prominent island. It's a very secretive island. This family owns it. There is like a big overarching family, and then there is what they call a consortium of families that kind of royalty of the island, and they have workers there. They have a distillery and a pharmaceutical plant, and when a position opens up to be the tour guide for the island, Vivian decides to apply for the job because, like I said, they have a pharmaceutical plant on the island, and there is a drug that Vivian really wants to get her hands on because her sister has a chronic illness and is basically like bedridden, has been for quite some time. No doctors can figure out what's going on with her, and she thinks that this drug can help her sister. So she wants to get on the island and figure out like how she can help her sister. Maybe that she can get a couple of the seeds and grow it herself so she can help her sister. But it has to be all very hush-hush because this is all kept under lock and key. And when she gets there, she meets one of the brothers from like the biggest family, which is Rupert, and he doesn't really want her to be there. He doesn't really want any of this to happen, the tours or anything like that. So they clash instantly. But there's also a chemistry there, but he cannot do anything about it because he is only allowed to marry somebody from the consortium family, one of the royalty families. Anything that they do, they have to keep secret, and it can never go far at all. In the midst of all that, there is this underlying tone with the island. It's very secretive. It's very dark. It's a very gothic like story, and Vivian is finding out certain things while she's having a relationship with Rupert, and that's really like all I can say. I can't really tell you anything that happens in the second book because it would not only be a spoiler, but it would be a spoiler for the first book. So anyway, I can't tell you anything, but you can read this one on June 29th. I really enjoyed this one. The cliffhanger again was a big one. There were a couple things that I had predicted from the first book that do show face in the second book, so I felt a little bit of gratification for that because I was like, good job, Jen. But nonetheless, I really did enjoy this book. I cannot wait for the third and final book, the conclusion, to see how all this pans out and what the heck is going to happen on this island and with these people. I ended up giving this one a 4 stars and a 3 stars for spice. Okay, see, I told you that I had more books to talk about in this mid-month wrap-up than I did of the entire month of May, but we are to the last 2 books, and I'm going to kind of talk about them together because they are part of the same series. I finally got to Powerless by Elsie Silver, and then I went ahead and read Reckless, which is the 4th book of the series. I know that we have at least one more after this, which comes out later this year, and I'm excited about that. But let's talk about these 2. So first I read Powerless. This is Sloane and Jasper's story. We've heard a little bit about Sloane in the past books. Jasper we've seen. He's that very recluse hockey player. He is a very good family friend of the Eatons, but he's also basically like an adoptive brother for them. He came to live with them when he was in high school, I think like around 17 years old after being abandoned by his family, and he's just a very quiet person. I was definitely looking forward to his story, but this is another dual POV. It is a childhood friends to lovers. It is a little bit of unrequited love, but like not really. It is a slow burn, y'all. It is slow burn. The angst is there. It is amped up. The anticipation between these 2 was just, I remember I was reading it in bed one night, and I sat it down and looked at my husband. I was like, if these 2 do not get together, I need them to get together. I need them just to have sex already because, like, oh my God, it's there. They both want it. We all feel it. I just need it to happen. I need the angels to start singing hallelujah. Like, I need that to happen. Like Sarah Kate, Elsie Silver has become one of those authors for me where you literally feel the connections between these characters. You feel the angst, you feel the love, you just feel it. And that's what I love. Like, you are immersed in their stories immediately. I love her writing. You immediately are drawn in, and you're in it. You're in it for the long haul. You're in it. Jasper and Sloane have been really good friends for many, many years. Sloane is the Eaton's cousin, so she spent her summers there for quite a few years. That's how her and Jasper got to know each other. And he's always carried a torch for her. She has always carried a torch for them, but neither of them have ever really acted on it. They all knew when Sloane was a teenager. I think it's like a 6-year age gap between these 2, that she had a crush on Jasper, but he thought that, like, that was just a childhood crush. He didn't realize that she is still very much into that. But she is about to get married, and he definitely does not like this guy that she's about to marry. Something happens on the wedding day, and they end up not getting married. He comes to her rescue and takes her away, and they end up on a road trip together and just getting a little bit closer. And it was a really cute story, and I really liked it. But y'all, the slow burn, it is definitely there. It was so good. I really enjoyed these two. And Elsie Silver, her spicy scenes, man, I mean, but she really worked up to it with this couple. Like, it was just, I was like, if we can, please. I'm gonna need something. But when it hit, oh, it hit. And it hit. It definitely hit. I loved it. I loved it. For Powerless, I gave it a 4 stars, and I gave it a 3 stars for spice. Which brings us to Reckless, which is another dual POV. This is between Winter and Theo. Here is that redemption arc again, you guys. This is Winter. This is Summer's sister. If we remember from Flawless, she was a big part of that, and she was not the nicest person. She was a little bit of a bitch and kind of rude and like, get over yourself. But now we get her story, and we get a deep dive into like all that makes her her, and why she was the way that she was in Flawless. And then, of course, we know Theo. Theo, I think, was more prevalent in the first book because he's Rhett's protege for bull riding, and he's the ladies' man. He definitely has made his way around the buckle bunnies, but then he meets Winter, and Winter pretty much knocks him on his ass when she is very snarky and just gives him all this attitude, and he just can't help but be completely blown away by this spicy little thing. And there's definitely, there you go again, there's that chemistry between these two. But this book definitely had differences from the other books. This book, y'all, it blew me away. I don't know if it's my favorite, but like right now it's just my favorite. Like, Theo gave the Eaton boys a run for their money. He is definitely skyrocketed himself to one of my top book boyfriends. I love it. These two, whew. But I will tell you, you will get to about 18% of the book, and some shit happens, and then, I don't think that this is like a spoiler or anything, but there's a time jump. I had to put the book down, and I had this, what the fuck just happened moment. If you read it, you know, but I was like, wait a minute. Like, this doesn't make any sense. What the hell is going on? But also, and it is not a surprise, it is literally on the back of the book, and one thing I was really skeptical about, but I never shy away from a trope that I'm just like, about, but I was a little scared going in, and that is the surprise pregnancy trope. Like I said, it's just not always done right. But I shouldn't have been worried, because it's Elsie Silver that wrote this, and I don't know what she does. I just don't know what she does. I don't know if she like lines these with like LSD or crack or drugs, whatever she lines these books with, but there's something in them. I read this in one sitting. I could not put it down. The relationship between Winter and Theo, and then you bring baby Vivi in, and then the way Theo is with Vivi, and the heartbreaking scenes. Y'all know if you've read it. The heartbreaking scenes, I mean, just break my heart, crack me wide open, but then he put it right back together. It's just, I love it. He steps up. He becomes the man that he needs to be. He becomes the dad that he needs to be. He shows up for Winter. Winter fights him tooth and nail because she's the strong woman, but we also get to see why she's so strong and why she is the way that she is, and she maybe hasn't had the best relationships in the past, and she hasn't had the best support team in the past, so why would I trust somebody that I don't really essentially know to help me when like nobody in my life gives me that? So I can't trust that. But honestly, it's just one of these books where it's like, how can you really do this justice? It was absolutely amazing. I think in the sense of like the entire story and key moment, it is my favorite. I know, and like, I don't even know if that's blasphemous to say over Heartless, but it was so good. It was just so good. If I could give it more than 5 stars, then I would, but I'm giving it 5 stars. I'm giving it 4 stars for spice. The spice, oh my god, in true Elsie Silver fashion, yes please. The dirty talk, Miss Silver definitely knows how to make her men dirty talk, and they do it so well. They do it so well. And Theo, I think I love more of the fact that I'm a bad boy, but I'm going to change just like that for this woman because damn this woman. And how can we just not swoon over that? It was good. It just came out this month, and it's a winner. And there it is. Those are the 9 books that I've read so far in the month of June. It has been a good month, as you can tell, and I've read some like quality books too, so I'm really excited to keep going. I am currently reading Keep Her Safe by Q.B. Tyler, which just came out on the 15th, and can't wait to talk about that with you guys. And I'm just excited to keep going. We'll see. I don't know if this momentum will keep up. If it does and we're going at this rate, then this is definitely going to be the best reading month for me this far. But it's not about reading however many books I can. It really is just the quality. And I've just read such great books that it's that momentum of let's find another one, let's find another one. But that is going to do it for today's video, guys. Please let me know what you've been reading this month. What have been some really standout books for you? Let me know down below, and I will catch you next time for sure. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already, because books. Until next time, happy reading. Bye.